We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph Meseches Bava Metzia. This is Bava Metzia Daf 42a. This daf is sponsored by David Grossman. Thank you for your sponsorship. If you would like to sponsor an Amud or a daf, see the description box below, and see the description box below to see how you can support this channel. The daf begins with the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Hamafkid Mos Eitel Chaver. If somebody deposits money by his friend, Tzuroron Vivshilin La'achorov. If he bundles it and he slings it behind him, Oshemisarim Levno Levito Hakatanim. Or if he gives it over to his son or his daughter who's a minor, V'noal Bifneim Shelo Karoi. If he closes the door in front of them but improperly, in all of those cases the money has not been watched properly, so Chayiv, he's going to be obligated Shelo Shimer Kederech HaShomrim. He hasn't watched the way that a watchman is supposed to. V'im Shimer Kederech HaShomrim Potter. But if he did it the way that a watchman is supposed to watch, so then he is Potter, then he is exempt. And the Gemara says, Bishlama Kulu Shelo Shimer Kederech HaShomrim. I understand all the cases in the Mishnah, he's not watching the money properly. But in the case where he bundles it and slings it behind him, my Havalei Lamevad, what more should he have done? As Rashi explains, my Havalei Lamevad Harei Tzuraron, he bundled it up. It seems like he is watching it properly. And the Gemara answers, Amar Rava, Rava says, Amar Rav Yitzchak, the Rav Yitzchak says, Amar Kra. The pasuk says, V'tzarta kesef biyodcha. We understand that pasuk to mean, Afal pishet tzururin yiyu biyodcha. Even though they are bundled up, but it needs to be in your hands. It's not good enough that you sling it behind you over your shoulder. V'yamar Rav Yitzchak, and Rav Yitzchak says, Liolam yekaspo shalada matzoi biyado. A person's money should always be found in his hand. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, same pasuk, V'tzarta kesef biyodcha. It says it's in your hand. V'yamar Rav Yitzchak, and Rav Yitzchak says, Liolam yashlish adam es ma'osav. A person should always divide his money up three ways. Shlish bekarka, a third of it should be in real estate. Ushlish beprakmati, a third of it should be in business. Ushlish tachas yado, and a third of it should be in his possession, in his hand. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rav Yitzchak, and Rav Yitzchak says, Ein habracha Metziah, ela b'davar hasamim min ha'ayin. There's only a blessing by something that's hidden from the eye. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Yitzava shamitches habracha ba'asamecha. It says there's going to be a bracha ba'asamecha, means to say in your storehouses, but we understand that to mean davar hasamim min ha'ayin, means something that is hidden from the eye. And the Gemara continues, Tana Devei Rabbi Yishmael, it was taught in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael, Ein habracha Metziah ela b'davar shein ha'ayin sholetes bo. A blessing is only found on something which the eye has no dominion over. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Yitzava shem itches habracha ba'asamecha. Again, it says there's going to be a bracha in your storehouses, and we're darshaning that as well. As Rashi says, shein ha'ayin sholetes bo shenemar ba'asamecha, in your storehouses, lashon genazim, meaning to say again, it's like it's hidden away. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Aholech lomud es garno, if somebody is going to measure his granary, Omer, he should say as follows, Yiratzon milfanecha Hashem Elokeinu shetishlach bracha b'ma'aseh yadeinu. He should say, Yiratzon, that there should be a bracha in his efforts. Hischil lomud, if he has begun to measure, Omer baruch hasholeach bracha b'chri hazeh, he should say again, blessed is the one who's going to give a blessing in this pile. Madad v'achakach berach. Now let's say he measured it and then he makes that blessing. Harei zeh tefillah shav. That's a prayer that's considered to be in vain. Lefi she'ein habracha Metziah lo b'davar hashakol v'lo b'davar hamadud v'lo b'davar hamonoi ela b'davar hasamim min ayin. Because you don't have a bracha in something which is weighed or measured or counted. It has to be something that is hidden from the eye. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, again the same pasuk, Yitzav Hashem itches habracha ba'asamecha. It says Hashem is going to have the bracha in your storehouses. And the Gemara continues, Amar Shmuel, Shmuel says, Ksafim ein lehem shmira ela bekarka. When it comes to money, the only proper way to watch money is to bury it in the ground. Amar Rava, Rava says, Umodi Shmuel, Shmuel admits, Be'erev Shabbos ben Hashmashas. If it's Erev Shabbos, close to Shabbos, the lo atrachu Rabban. And there the Rabban did not bother the person that he should have to bury it. V'yishal l'matzoi Shabbos shir l'mikverinu v'lo kavrinu. Now, if he waited after Shabbos, he had enough time that he could have buried it, and he didn't bury it, so then mechayev, then the person is going to be chayev, he'll be obligated. V'yitzur b'mei Rabbanan, who, however, if the person who deposited the money by him, if the owner of the money is a Talmud Chacham, so then already he has an excuse not to bury it right away. Savar dilma mi boile zuzei le'avdalta. The person thinks maybe he wants the money ready for Havdalah. This person is makbid to make Havdalah, and he needs to have the wine, so then he doesn't want to bury the money right away. He wouldn't be responsible if he does not do so. And we'll take a look at a few Rashis from earlier. Matzi biyado, again, Rabbi Yitzchak said that a person's money should be found in his hand. Rashi explains that to mean, Lo yafkidenu la'acherim b'makam acher, don't deposit it somewhere else. Shem tizdamin lo sechor l'schar yimazumin lo. That way, if something happens, some kind of business happens where you can make money, he'll have the money ready. Tachas yado, similarly, it said the money should be in his hand. It means lios mizumin lo. Again, it means it should be ready for him. L'tzorach revach haba pisim. If suddenly he has a chance to make profit, that's what the Gemara means to say. And further on in Rashi says, if the person depositing the money is a Talmud Chacham shuchard al mitzvahs havdalah ala kos, that he wants to make sure to do the mitzvah of havdalah on a cup of wine, Amar hashomer dilma miboyle zuze lehavdalta. So then already the shomer says to himself, maybe he'll want the money for havdalah. Lahachi lo kavrinu. That's why in bury yidu pater, in that situation he would be pater. And the Gemara continues, va'idna deshchichi geshushay. Nowadays that there are people who rummage through the ground to try to find money that's hidden in the ground. Ein lahem shmira ela b'shmei korah. So the only real way to watch money is to put it in the beams of the roof of the house. But the Gemara continues, va'idna deshchichi frumoy. But nowadays, where there are people who dismantle the roofs of the house to find things, ein lahem shmira ela b'nei orbe. The only shmira, the only watching is going to be between the bricks. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rava says, Umoda Shmuel B'kosel. Shmuel would admit that you could put it in the wall. That would be a good place to put the money. But the Gemara continues, Va'idna Deshchichi Tefuchai. But nowadays that there are people who tap on the walls to find the hollow areas, to find what's in the walls. Ein lahem shmira ela b'tefach hasamach lekarka. The only proper way of safeguarding the money is to put it in the wall, but within one tefach of the ground, or b'tefach hasamach l'shmei korah, or within one tefach of the beams of the ceiling. And Rashi explains, Gishushay is megashashin bekarka. Again, they rummage through the ground. Bishfudin shel barzel. They use iron sticks, lahakir makom shetachtav cholol. By tapping on the ground, they find areas that are hollow to find things in the ground. Bishmei korah begag mitachtav means right under the roof. You can hide it. Prumoy is shovre hatikra. These are people that break the roof. Beinei orbe bein shuros habinyan bekosel. Beinei orbe means between the rows of the building of a wall. Tefuchay mitafchim bekosel leidem yesham cholol. But then they tap on the wall to find out again if there's a hollow area. O betefach hasamach v'kulan bekosel. Finally, it said, so you put it in the wall, but you have to put it within a tefach of the ground or within a tefach of the roof. And the Gemara continues, Amar le Ravacha Breder Rav Yosef le Ravashi. Ravacha, the son of Rav Yosef, said to Ravashi, Hasam Tanan over there, Meseches Psachim. We learn in a Mishnah, Chametz shenafla olav mapolas hareu k'mavor. If you have chametz and the building falls upon it, a wall falls upon the chametz, that's considered like it's already destroyed. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel Omer kol shein hakelav yachol lechapis achrav. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says it has to be buried in such a way that a dog would not be able to search after it. V'tanan was taught on that, Kama chafisas hakelav. How much does a dog dig? Gimel tvachim. A dog is able to dig 3 tvachim. And so the question now is hachamai, but over here, what would be the halach in terms of burying the money? Mi ba'inan shlosha tvachim olo. Do we require it to be 3 tvachim deep in the ground or not? Amar Lei said to him, Hasa mishum reicha ba'inan gimel tvachim. There we're talking about smell, so it needs to be 3 tvachim under the ground, so it can't be smelled. But hacha mishum echesuye me'ena. But here you're just trying to cover it from the eye, to hide it from the eye. Lo ba'inan gimel tvachim. So you don't require 3 tvachim. V'chama, so how much is required? Amar Rafram Misichra. Rafram from Sichra said, Tefach, what's required is just a tefach. And the Gemara continues, Ahu gavra da'afkid zuze gabe chavre. There was a person who deposited money by his friend, Dosvinu betzrifa du'orbane. He put it in a willow hut, and ignav it was stolen. Amar Rav Yosef said, Afagav dile'inyan ganve netirusahi. Even though in terms of getting stolen, that was actually a good way of safeguarding the money. That's not a place that thieves would steal it. But le'inyan nura pshiyusi. But in terms of a fire, that's actually negligence. It could catch fire. Havet chilaso b'pshiya v'sofa bonus. So what it really is a case where at the outset there's negligence, but in the end, what happened was an accident. And by tchilas b'pshiya v'sofa bonus chayiv, we say that in such a case, the shomer is chayiv. There are those that say, Afal gav d'linyan nurab shiusa. Even though regarding fire, this is negligence, but linyan ganvin itzirusi. But as far as thieves, this is considered safeguarding. Utchilaso b'pshiya v'sofa bonus pater. And if at the beginning there's negligence, but at the end it's an accident, according to this version, the shomer is pater. V'hilchasa, and the halach is tchilaso b'pshiya v'sofa bonus chayiv. If at the beginning it's negligence, but at the end it turns out to be an accident, the halach is the shomer is chayiv. And the Gemara continues, how Gavra Dafkid Zuzay Gabe Chavri, there was a person who deposited money by his friend. Amar Le Havli Zuzay, he said to him, give me my money. Amar Le Lo Yadana Hechosvin, he said, I don't know where I put it. Asal Kame de Rava, he came before Rava. Amar Le said to him, Kol Lo Yadana Pshiyusahi. Anytime a person says he doesn't know, that's considered negligence. Zil Shlim, so the shomer has to go ahead and pay. How Gavra Dafkid Zuzay Gabe Chavri, there was a person who deposited money by his friend. Ashlaminu Li'ime, he gave it over to his mother. V'osvinu Kartalisa v'ignav, and she put it in a chest and it was stolen. Amar Rava said, how should a judge this case? If we say to him, to the shomer, that he has to pay, Amar, so then he's going to say, And Rashi explains, Hafagav delinin ganvini tirusa, even though in terms of thieves, this is considered safeguarding when you put it into this willow hut, afila below kavura, even without burying it, shein ganavim holchem sham, because it wasn't common that thieves would go there liganov to steal, shein mamun matzeh sham, that's not a place where money is frequent, tchilaso bepshia, but it is considered originally negligence, shema tipol sham deleka, because maybe a fire will happen, v'nimtza pasha shelo kavra, and it will come out that that's negligence, that he didn't bury it. However, if it's sofa bonus, but in the end it was an accident, sharei nignavu, because it was stolen, ugneva l'shomer chinam ones hu. When it comes to geneva, as far as the shomer chinam is concerned, that's considered the same as an onus, that's the same as an accident. Ashlaminu masar and leimo, then the Gemara said the person, the shomer, gave it to his mother, and she put it kartalisa arges, she put it into a chest. Name v'leilididei zil shlim. Now, if we should say that the shomer should pay, the shomer shemasar l'shomer chayiv, because the shomer that gives to another shomer is chayiv, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Beis Amid Beis.